Good afternoon. Welcome to Good Guy Sports. I'm Jackson Gerke, alongside our co-host, Blake Gerke. The other BL Weinberger will be with us if he can. If he isn't with us, no, not a problem. We will still have the top two co-hosts with us. Um, so I do want to recap of the Masters last week for our show. So my biggest takeaway from the Masters golf tournament is that as we welcome B.L. Weinberger back on the program with us, great to be with you. That that my biggest takeaway from for me is that Sky Scheffler has who has won the tournament. Although his putting was a bit on and off at times, just somehow still found a way, despite all the struggles that he went through this entire tournament. Well, the pairing of the co-leaders were on top, and then at one point he trailed me by one, and it kind of went back and forth for the final round. You had like co-leaders on top, and then Sky Schiffer just leads by one, and just kind of went up and down for what was a exciting final round finish for Masters tournament. But also my biggest takeaway from the Masters tournament is that you had the par three contest, which I hear with the kids coming out. That's really cool. And then you had the women's amateur. That was also pretty special too. And then the one thing I didn't touch on prior to last week was the weather. It was the weather did look nasty and look stormy last Thursday, but I am but we were just lucky enough to get sunny clear and sunshine for the rest of the tournament. But I'm glad they were able to get this through, and the tournament was and then they got the first round finish on Friday, and then finally got the tournament got the rest of the tournament completed on time as expected on Sunday, so which is good because weather wasn't really a issue and a problem. And now that Sky Scheffler is now the 2024 Masters champion, and he won the green jacket and over at the scenery at Butler Cabin, which I thought was really cool. With the handshake, passing it along from the past champion John Rahm, and before that, Scott Scheffler was also won it a couple of years ago. And what's interesting about Sky Scheffler is I won't not bring it up on the show, but that he's about to have a baby and and get married. So about this guy, he's able to start a family. So which is really which I find really special on the outside of it of him as a player, as a person himself. And he graduated from the University of Texas at Austin, and then he and then he is and then Guy Shepard is world number one currently, and he has won the Players and has won and has won the WN Open a couple of times, and heading over, and then the next golf major, which we're golf is at RBC Heritage this week, but the next golf major, which is in mid May at Valhalla, which golf club, which is in Louisville, and 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 according to the odds, the favorites, Sky Scheffler is a big time favorite in in that golf tournament for that major to be and he's a big co-favorite to win the PGA Championship. But you never really know how things unfold with him. But in my other big headline takeaway from the Masters is that Tiger Woods, I get that. His body is getting old, not the same as it used to be as a player. I just think that he's really about 2 years left before he plays on the senior tour. And if he can't play like 3 or 4 years of competitive golf, and I'd say that what I think he should do for a Tiger perspective is that he should play golf for fun, or how about he plays on the senior tour, or just or design golf courses that are named after him, or I know, how about he should play for fun with his family or grandkid, or try to like play putt golf like like at a miniature golf family fun center resort. That's what I think he should be doing. And but yeah, the biggest takeaway so far from from this year's Master, Sky Sheffer on top, winning the green jacket. The second time in a row, who's tied with Bubba Watson and Tiger Woods, among with Jack Nicklaus and all the other professional golfers out there. Really special. Great to be with you guys in Good Guys Sports. What are your thoughts and takeaways for that tournament? Great to be with you guys, and Good Guys Sports. Great to be with you. Biggest takeaway from the Masters tournament.
Yeah, it was I was pretty surprised at how easily Scheffler won it in the end. I think it ended up not making a great spectacle for a Sunday at the Masters. Usually you would like to see 2 or 3 guys in contention. Maybe at the beginning of the day, you could argue there was a few guys hanging around there. The guy that I liked pre-tournament, Ludwig Aberg, had an excellent round, and he was thereabouts. Max Homa looked like he was gonna be in contention for a good while there.
Like you and I had the picks, man. I
I'm
had a little
telling you.
sleeper in Max. You had the Ludwig pick. Good job on Good Guy Sports.
And Homa looked really good, particularly after the first couple of rounds, and he still had a good tournament. I mean, let's not, don't want to get it wrong there, but he certainly made a couple of mistakes where he definitely could have. Maybe nobody was going to beat Scheffler given the current form that he's on, but Homa certainly had a chance there for sure. And a couple of mistakes, couple of quick mistakes in succession can really kill you there. But ultimately, it was really Scheffler's tournament to lose. That's what the consensus was pre-tournament, and that ended up coming to fruition. At the end of the day, he just had to not make too many mistakes on that last round on Sunday, and the green jacket was his.
Yeah, I felt bad for his partner. I forget his first name was Colin. He was playing with Scheffler.
Morikawa, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he just wasn't getting the hits.
Yeah, he was he was in contention as well for a lot of that, for a huge portion of that round as well. Yeah. But it seems like particularly on that there was one hole, I think the 12th hole, I believe, where Scheffler had a bad shot and he made a couple of mistakes, but it ended up being that everybody else around him also had a similar poor shot, a similar poor hole around that same time. So it just ended up being he had a good enough lead where nobody was able to capitalize on a mistake from Scheffler because they ended up making the exact same mistake. So that's kind of the key. A lot of these majors, Mike, is getting an early lead and then playing mistake-free golf, right?
Well, Scheffler, didn't he hit a either 67 or 68 in round 4? I think it was 67.
Something like that, yeah.
So that's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with his results over the past few tournaments, right? I mean, he's playing the best golf of his career. He's the best golfer in the world right now. So, I mean, I don't think any of us can sit here and say it's a surprise that he won the Masters, right?
Yeah,
I think it was interesting to see a lot of some of the traditional guys like Rahm and Koepka ended up not having great rounds. DeChambeau kind of fell apart after he was the early leader after that first round, and some of the mistakes set in, and he was getting pretty frustrated like he usually does when his putter's not doing what he wants to. So yeah, I mean, it seems like Scheffler really has it all set up for him. Obviously, golf is it's hard to win consistently in professional golf. So it's pretty remarkable that he's doing what he's been able to do. So we'll see how consistently he's able to keep it up in this major season. Obviously, Augusta kicking off the first of the 4 majors this year. So the way he's playing right now, I mean, there's no reason why he can't win multiple majors the rest of this year, right, Jack?
That's right. I mean, Sky Scheffler, as I said at the start of the show, is world number 1, and he is just by far running away from pretty much the competition. And although I wouldn't get ahead of myself that he would be the new Tiger Woods, I wouldn't get that far quite yet, because let's just see what happens.
Everyone slow down. Everyone slow down.
Right. Let's just see what happens at the first round at Valhalla.
That's where you really prove yourself, is Valhalla.
Valhalla in mid-May, which is where it's gonna in mid-May, which is gonna when this tournament is going to
Can you do it on a warm
is
afternoon
gonna
in
take place.
Valhalla? That's the question.
Big.
Did we already talk about Vijay Singh watching Bryson DeChambeau hit those drives in the on the driving range, just staring at him in amazement, hitting, he said he almost hit it out of the range.
Really? Yeah, he's certainly that's why he had that big early lead, right, Blake? I mean, he came out of the gate strong, but ultimately with him it's his short game that he really always lets him down. And like you said, he hits the ball out of the park every time, right?
Drive for show, putt for dough.
That's what they say. That's why some of these old guys on the tour might not be able to hit the ball out of the park, but they got the fundamentals down and they're able to hang in there, right? So that's why if it was just an athlete's game, you'd see all these 27-year-old golfers just hitting the ball a mile winning every week, but that's not really how it works, right? So that's there's multiple ways to win a golf tournament ultimately, and it's the well-rounded guys that end up doing the best.
Yeah, Scotty Scheffler shot a 72 in the final round of his round 4 scorecard. In case you guys are wondering, so it wasn't in the 60s; it was like a 72. That's not bad for an average player.
Yeah, you just just minimizing mistakes after and having a couple of a shot lead, and nobody was really claiming the throne, so to speak. So he just had to shoot a solid round, and he was good to go. There was never really much jeopardy, to be honest, which is why I say it didn't make for particularly entertaining viewing, to be honest, on that weekend. Usually you would like to have a couple of guys 1 or 2 shots back, just to kind of make things interesting. But like I said earlier, never really seemed like Scheffler was going to lose on Sunday, to be honest. So maybe it wasn't the most, from a neutral perspective, wasn't the most entertaining Masters compared to previous editions.
Well, early on, I think there were 3 or 4 that were right at -7, and then the other ones, except for Scheffler, started making not so good shots, and Scheffler just kept on creaking up and ended up -11.
Yeah.
It was a really interesting. It was really something of how the players just really of how this tournament really turned out. And I think that the players overall, I think just really did what they could, and that just finished up what was a very competitive tournament. And I think that they really just stood out for what of how the tournament at Augusta really did for what this tournament brought with the azaleas and the different landscapes and the trees and the scenery, which was quite like nothing that you've ever seen for any other golf tournament. But Valhalla, that will take place in mid-May, the weekend after the Derby. So that was when market calendars for for that week. That will yes, that will take place the week after the Derby. So hope you guys stick around for that. We will preview that. I'm sure we'll be previewing that for sure. I'm sure Good Guy Sports will hopefully maybe one day in the future have a exclusive access at one of the at possibly one of the one of the golf courses for any golf major or for any of our sporting event. I'm sure we'll get there eventually for the future. But
I
I
can
just
tell
say,
you,
Blake,
I can tell you're angling for a spot at Valhalla. You mentioned it about 6 times.
I know that's where it's going to be in about a month from now. So hopefully we will see how things turn out between the next few weeks heading into mid-May. But right now let's talk right into the NBA play-in tournament. So
Wait, Jackson. Wait, we can't leave golf real quick. I got to talk about one more thing. And to Blake's point, the few of my favorite characters from the show, the Vikings, have ended up in Valhalla. But side point, how cool was Max Homa when he's got the lead and people are asking him, all he wanted to talk about is how cool it was to play with Tiger Woods and just have a front row seat to Tiger Woods. That guy's a good dude. I'm a big fan of Scotty Scheffler, but also a huge fan of Max Homa. Just giving Tiger plenty of credit on those first couple rounds.
No, yeah, I totally agree. He seems, if you ever see any interviews or anything like that with him, he's very down to earth, and he makes time for fans and stuff like that. So everything I've seen from Homa, I agree. Yeah, I hope he gets a major here pretty soon because he seems like a really good dude.
all right, Blake. Sorry about the interruption with BL Lomberger. Of his topic, but now we can get back to our next topic, and that is the NBA play-in tournament, NBA playoffs. As of right now, I am checking the scores from the games that took place last night. No games this Thursday, but on Wednesday, I'm seeing that the 76ers beat the Heat in a on what was a close game. Just a game winner, nail biter of at the buzzer kind of game, or either that, or it probably must have been a game tying game that he almost beat the 76ers, but the 76ers were able to survive against the Jimmy Buckets and the Miami Heat. The other game was a 9th place versus 10th place blowout. You had the Bulls beating the Hawks 131-116 in that one. The Hawks are just pretty much toast in that game from the way that I view and look at it. The Bulls were just the better team in that game. That's just what stood out to me for this NBA play-in tournament. But as we look at the standings right now in the NBA, right now you have Boston and New York who are right there with them. If I had to guess, we'll probably do some more. We'll probably have a guest talk more about NBA basketball stuff. But since Uncle Mike just doesn't really follow NBA basketball that much because just because it's not his sport. So, but right now, from what I'm seeing as it stands right now, you have a tie with Oklahoma City and Denver in the West. You have Boston and New York and Milwaukee in the East. Here's what I think should happen. Now, let's say Boston is by far the best record in by far the best team in the league, if not the Eastern Conference. So let's say, obviously, I want to say that I feel like it's a win or bust for them. Just because if you don't make it to the finals, there's going to be a lot of question marks to see if they're feeling a lot of pressure if they don't make it there. But assuming it's Celtics do make it and they and then you have to face, let's say, Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, then that's probably not going to be a a advantage for them. But let's say if so so you got to hear me out on this. So I want to say if New York, the Knicks, that is, if Jalen Brunson stays healthy, and if they beat the Celtics, then I could definitely see that happening. Or let's say if Giannis stays
Well,
healthy,
hang on a second though, because you mentioned the play-in game and Philadelphia beat Miami, as you mentioned earlier. So that means that Philadelphia is playing the Knicks in the first round. And if Philadelphia has a healthy Joel Embiid like they did last night, then they're definitely not a traditional 7 seed. The only reason they're a 7 seed is because Embiid missed so much time. Plus the Knicks on their end, they have Brunson, like you mentioned, but they've got a lot of key injuries, including Julius Randle is not going to be present for this playoff series. So in terms of a 2-7 matchup, to me, that seems more like a 5-4 coin flip matchup to me, given the fact that Embiid is back for Philadelphia. New York has injuries, and these are obviously two teams that play a lot. It's a traditional Eastern Conference rival. It's a classic 80s, 90s NBA series, Knicks Sixers. So I mean, I want to see I want to see some of the lines in terms of who's favored. So I think you're going to be surprised at how much closer it is in terms of a 2-7 matchup, Jack. So definitely keep an eye on that one.
Oh, I will. I'm sure we'll deep dive more into that on our on one of our later shows this month. So that will be really interesting to see. But as for Boston, how things really go for them. So if they were to not make the NBA Finals or make the finals and not win it all, then I feel like Joe Masumo and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and those group of guys feel like Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday and Al Horford and those guys. You got to think if they don't stay healthy, or if they do, if they make the finals, then you got to really think where do they go from here? Because that's really what I want to know for anybody who's listening up in Boston and Beantown. That is, you got to figure out up for those fans up in New England. Got to really think what do they think they're doing if they if you're in the finals. Yeah, you have the best record in the East, but the question is, can you win it all or make it there? That's just something that I got to see and see, like you said, with all the Eastern Conference teams that they have to go up against to make it there first, and that's what I got to see and see how this all plays out, and then we'll see if we get it right and where it goes from here. Because the Celtics and those fans, they got to see it first, or else they probably won't make it there. Or if they get lucky, then who knows? They're probably not. They're probably just going to have to wait and see what happens, and see how it all unfolds for within that organization or for that fan base, for that team, for what this team, whether this team stays healthy or not.
I totally agree. I think in terms of challengers for Boston in the Eastern Conference for the Boston Celtics, I just don't see too many, if I'm being totally honest. I think, Philadelphia has, like I mentioned earlier, they're dangerous because they have a healthy Embiid back, but they're a 7 seed. So the path to the finals them is going to be tough. They're going to have to win a lot of games away from home. The Knicks are banged up as a 2 seed. Like I mentioned, if they were at full strength, you can make a case for them to challenge Boston, I think. And Milwaukee's banged up as well. Giannis is going to miss the start of the playoffs, so they're going to have to rely on Damian Lillard to really increase his production if Milwaukee wants to make any noise in this postseason. And Indiana's not going to be an easy series for them as well. I mean, Indiana's no slouch, so I still would expect Milwaukee to come out of that just because of I think Lillard will have to score a lot of points and carry them when Giannis is not there. But yeah, compared to the Western Conference, I think Boston's got a relatively easy path to the finals. And granted, it's never that easy, just saying that you've got a clear path. But compared to the West, I mean, compared, with the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference, I think Boston's a clear favorite.
Guys, quick question, not related to the team that's in the playoffs, but an NBA team that's not in the playoffs. Jackson, will LeBron James be wearing a Charlotte Hornets jersey with his son in the next 2 years?
So I guess you're presuming that the Hornets will draft Bronny is what you're saying there, right?
Bronny James to the Hornets. It's a long shot, but I wouldn't rule it out. But I don't think he's going there. But I wouldn't rule it out as a potential pick. But I would just have to wait and see how it goes. But Bronny James to the Hornets, I wouldn't rule it out, but I don't think I see it happening. I'll just leave it at that.
Jackson, you know that Publix ice cream you love that's a buy one, get one free sometimes? I don't think it's any different. Same situation.
Oh, is that what this is all about? The buy one, get one free BOGO stuff?
You buy one,
they have
get
there?
LeBron. Yeah, you get LeBron free.
I mean, Charlotte could do a lot worse. They certainly need something to kind of revitalize that fan base. So I wouldn't rule it out.
But is Charlotte Dream City?
I thought that was it. Is that Atlanta Dream? I don't know. Maybe. It sounds like it. The fans are certainly dreaming of something else.
Yeah. Well, you got to dream, I guess.
Indeed. Jack, so what about the Western Conference? Who do you like there in the NBA?
I think I'm going to lean towards the Denver Nuggets. They still got Jokic. They are a great team. I don't think I see them slowing down anytime soon.
There's a couple of good young teams out there, Minnesota and OKC are high seeds. They've got some exciting young talent, but I mean, I can't disagree with you on there. I think Jokic has been there and done it, so I certainly wouldn't bet against him. That's who the LeBron's Lakers, as Blake mentioned, is they won the play-in game, and their big prize is a first-round series versus the Nuggets. So, in my opinion, they're better off losing against New Orleans and winning the other game to play. Or sorry, the Nuggets, the Lakers won the play-in game, so the 7 seed. So they'll match up against the Lakers, who are 2 seed. So, in my opinion, they're better off losing to the Pelicans, winning the second game for the 8 seed, and playing OKC, who's the 1 seed. But then again, you can't really, losing on purpose is a bit of a dangerous game. But in my opinion, they've got 0 chance against the Nuggets. If they match up against OKC in the first round, who are a young and experienced team, I think LeBron and Lakers will have a much better chance. So, in my opinion, they're better off trying to get that 8 seed.
All right, Blake. So I don't know if you heard this, but Caitlin Clark is officially has officially been drafted to the WNBA and will be playing for the Indiana Fever. Those fans and Baker Al Fieldhouse in Indy are going to be packed with Caitlin Clark fans everywhere. And she's going to put on a show for the fans and is really going to make the league bigger and better than it was before. So I think the WNBA, the fans are in for a treat, and I think they really deserve it. And I think that's where the NBA, and that's where I think where the WNBA should be headed. What do you guys think?
I mean, it's super interesting, Jack, with the salary, 72,000 a year, give or take a few. I'm sad, man. I wanted to stay in college one more year. I think that everybody claims she's going to keep these advertising deals, but I don't think so. I think she'll keep them, but I think the price will go way down because it depends on viewership. You know, it's going to be an interesting time. I hope she can keep the viewership and transfer it to the WNBA, but I'm not so sure. Only time will tell. I hope it works. I'm not sure if it will or not, but truth be told, we might see viewership in the women's college basketball go down after she's gone. But I hope it also remains the same. It's fun to watch, and we got a good team down there in Columbia, South Carolina, Jackson, that's looking unstoppable for the next little while.
Yes, yeah. It sounds like you guys down there in Koa, down in the Carolinas of the South, feel like after they just put on a championship parade this on the same day of the Masters, which I hear is pretty crazy to do it on one day. That on a first show, I don't get to say every day, but it happened. But to your point on the next recruiting class for the Gamecocks South Carolina's women's basketball team, yeah, they're going to be loaded with a ton of recruits and talents, and something tells me like Don Staley is trying to be on a Coach K kind of level, because as you well know, Coach K and Don Staley were in commercials together with Aflac, and I feel like they with the Duck, and I do feel like, yes, right, and I do feel like that both of them, I feel like are trying to build a relationship together, whether it's basketball related or not, whether they're on the commercial or on the court or not. I do think that to your point, B.L. Weinberger, I do think that Don Staley, with the type of recruiting classes and players they're getting, yeah, they're going to be on a whole different level down there for those fans down in Columbia.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, Blake mentioned there's a big talent drain from college basketball to the WNBA this year. So I guess only time will tell in terms of viewing figures and numbers to see if that interest will shift more towards the WNBA and people will see the benefit, or if the women's college basketball will be the beneficiary and those numbers remain consistent, but WNBA doesn't really see a lift. I tend to think there'll be a small lift in WNBA figures and a small decrease in women's college basketball figures, just because of the huge stars. I think there's so many great players that were in college basketball this year that are now in the WNBA. I still think they've got people, some loyal fans that will watch the big college games, and a good number of people that will watch the WNBA now to see Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese, etc. But I don't think it will be as big as the viewing numbers for the Final Four this past couple of weeks. I think that will be a bit of an anomaly until maybe the next huge college star comes in. But I do think we'll see improved viewing for WNBA, but I don't think it'll be noticeably massive like the women's college Final Four is. But I do think the women's college Final Four has made some good ground up for sure as being kind of an event weekend, particularly matched up with the men's Final Four, just a good sports weekend in general there. So I think those figures will remain consistent, but I do think it'll be tough to keep up that momentum with Caitlin Clark. But you're right, for the fans in person in Indiana there, obviously Indiana loves basketball, so they're going to love watching Caitlin Clark there and for the Indiana Fever. So exciting for them.
Yeah, I think the gate is going to be there for both. I'm not sure of I'm not sure of the broadcast audience.
Yeah, I mean, I think people kind of I think people underrate that, to be honest. Everyone's focused on TV figures and stuff, but it's good for the people that in these cities that want to watch these people in person, because it's a lot easier to get to like a game in Indiana or in Los Angeles, these big cities, versus like watching Iowa college basketball in person. So yeah, I think it's going to be accessible for a lot of people to watch some of these stars in person in big cities, LA, Atlanta, Chicago, whenever they're traveling around and stuff like that. So there'll definitely be a good in-person market for some of these big stars.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think people are going to like the run and gun. And so I think yeah, it's good for both women's college ball and WNBA.
I agree. I think it's going to change. People want to see, like Mike said, people want to see the run and gun. I think people want to see the shooters, the fast offense. I don't think people are drawn into the kick it down in the post, bang somebody around, and put a layup in. I think people want to see these threes.
Yeah, they want to see action. They want to have fun, and I think the women's game brings that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we saw that with Steph Curry, obviously, bringing a lot of interest, outside shooting, really bringing in a 3-point revolution in the NBA for sure. So I see no reason why Caitlin Clark can't continue that style of play progression in the WNBA. Although it has been pointed out by a lot of veteran women's college basketball or women's basketball players in general that it's going to be a different level of defense in the WNBA. Lots of bigger, faster shot blockers, people getting in your face, not giving you that open three. So it'll be an adjustment for her for sure, but I have a good feeling she'll find her feet quickly.
You guys think there's a
we
chance
have
we can put
99 days till the dream teams show up. So the Paris play is
Yeah.
very,
they just announced the roster for that, right? Yeah. Some big names.
Yeah.
Is she on the women's roster? Caitlin?
I don't know. I'm not sure if they've announced. I saw the men's,
Kate,
but yeah, I'd be surprised if she wasn't, right?
Yeah, I think Caitlin Clark is on the women's roster for the Olympic team.
Because I think the men only take one graduating college player for the team in the past, at least, right? One graduating collegiate player. I don't know if the women are the same.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to check on that, but you'd imagine they want a combination of big names or who they think. I think there's probably more competition for the men's in the Olympics than the women's. You can argue a lot of the best NBA players are foreign right now. You can't really say the same for WNBA, so I would expect the women to have a much easier path to gold medal than the men's come Paris in a few months.
Can we get the Final Four, men's and women's, to play in the same location? I think there was a little chirping about that, right? I think that's a great idea.
Oh, talking about the college Final Four?
Yeah, the women. This would have been the year to have them play. A lot of people are chirping to let them play at the same city, same location, because the games are on opposite days.
Yeah, it might be a bit of a logistical issue with that, but yeah, I don't see why not. If they're able to cram this many games in for the men's, I mean, maybe they can make it work, turn it into an even bigger event. Yeah.
They were saying a few loyal fans were flying back and forth to the cities to watch Caitlin play, then back to see the men play the next day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's something that my biggest takeaway before we move on to our next topic. Yeah, that WNBA just really absolutely. Yeah, the WNBA just really I think should really enjoy for what Caitlin Clark has in store for us for this upcoming season starting in mid-May. So we can only hope that if Caitlin Clark does somehow get better in the pro level, only time will tell. So I'm sure we'll have a lot a lot to look forward to for what she has for us in her professional playing career, which we all should be excited about. So I want to turn now to a mock draft for the NFL, and I think that we can all agree that Caleb Williams goes number 1 to the Bears. I think that's where going to be a lock for me. I think that's where he should be and where he belongs. And for number 2 is really interesting because Uncle Mike is on the ground in DC, and from what the fans say up there, up in the DMV area in the region for the fans locally up there, where Uncle Mike is, and feel free to have Blake be a while we're going to join the conversation with me on this for the number 2 pick is I wanted you included, Uncle Mike, including the fans up in the Washington D.C. area and the DMV up in the D.C. area in the metropolitan area, what the fans and the locals say up there. Like I gotta ask, like Uncle Mike included himself, but I gotta ask you, like do the fans really for what the sports talk radio shows want to see more of based on depending on sports talk radio and the fans up in DC, what they're saying, what they feel comfortable with, do they feel like I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm going to tune into all my draft coverage on TV and radio and what they think. But what did the people and talk of the town say? Talk of the town where Uncle Mike is do they do they feel comfortable with Drake May or Jaden Daniels? Because I feel like from what I'm hearing, it's kind of a 50-50 kind of split kind of thing, because I feel like this draft selection could go one way or the other. It could go any way from many reports where I'm hearing. Although I did read a report on ESPN that the Commanders will keep the number 2 pick according with their new GM. So I do feel like the Commanders just really have a tough decision to make from any reports that what I'm hearing. Now, Uncle Mike, I'm going to start with you. Do you think the Commanders should draft Drake May or Jaden Daniels as QB? Because there aren't great. Those quarterbacks aren't really that bad. If you ask me, but for Washington, who do you think they trust more? I got to ask you because you're on the ground. You're like minutes away from the city and the area. What do people say, and who do you think they should take at number 2 pick in the draft, Mike?
Yeah, the radio guys, I'm hearing more about Jaden Daniels last week as the pick, but I still think that Drake May would be a better pick just because of his size, and I think you're going to need a beefier quarterback to be successful in the NFL. The one thing that people have been talking about is how long is he going to sit? And I think fans would be okay if he sits out a year, but would he be available in whoever they pick? Definitely would need to be available in year 2. So that's kind of the discussion. There's you look at Love for the Packers. He sat a few years, but he sat behind Aaron Rodgers, and the Commanders don't have anybody like that right now. So it'll be interesting, but I would personally, I still stick with Drake May as the choice.
Yeah, and I think we'll definitely cover it more. We're gonna do a full mock draft next week in preparation of the big day next Thursday. But that is I think certainly we know who's the consensus number 1 pick is, but obviously there's a couple of quarterbacks that are kind of rumored in that 2 to 4, 2 to 5 slot. There's a couple names obviously between Daniels, May, and McCarthy. So it'll be interesting. It seems I saw a lot of reports, Mike, that we thought that Daniels was going to be the guy for a long time, but we saw some reporting that Washington was having a bunch of quarterbacks all in the building at once, and
they brought 4 in.
The
top 4 in, and McCarthy was one of them, and McCarthy's getting some talk as well.
They must have got like a buffet with some catering or something. But it's interesting. Yeah, I guess maybe they're just trying to do some last minute due diligence. But I'm not sure this organization has shown given the public much trust over the years. So the fact that maybe they're changing their mind last minute isn't the best sign. But to be fair, I think there are valid arguments for Daniels and May. So it's not as clear cut maybe as some people are making it out to be.
Yeah. So here's another wrinkle with the new kickoff rule coming in next year. There's rumor that a lot of teams are going to be looking at a kicker now, or a kick returner as a draft pick. Any thoughts on that?
It's interesting. Yeah, they've made the kickoffs more advantageous for the returners for sure. So I think maybe not the super high end of the draft, but once you get into some of the lower rounds, taking somebody that you think has upside as a returner, doesn't seem crazy to me at all. Yeah, I think if it's all about finding advantage in the margins, right? And so taking advantage of a rule change like that, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I mean, you might find somebody going in the third round.
Absolutely, yeah. Someone that change of pace, receiver, somebody like that, some sort of back that can turn a corner, so to speak.
Yeah,
and has maybe experience as well returning. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
I
So
know
Jack,
that,
I think.
yeah,
Sorry, go
so
ahead.
I think we'll move on for a second, but I do want to just add on to one more thing that's NFL related for related for a second before we move on to the next topic. Is that does anybody up in New England want to see Drake May or Jaden Daniels at QB, or maybe JJ McCarthy as a possibility? Although I did hear reports that JJ McCarthy is a potential that he could potentially, it's not true, but he could get drafted by the Falcons, but that's really unlikely, but you never know how things turn out. But yeah,
well, the Falcons just spent all that money on Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I heard he got like a contract extension or something.
$180 million.
Yeah, no, Falcons aren't going quarterback. Yeah, Falcons have their quarterback as much. To my chagrin, they're locked in. So we'll see. We'll see.
I can't believe they didn't call you, Blake.
Well, they should have. I would have told them to take a bit more time and see, but they obviously want to go experience at that position. So that's what they decided to do, and fair enough.
Well, bless their hearts.
Bless their hearts. We'll see who we mock for them next week, but I imagine it'll be a defensive player.
All right. Looking forward to next week.
Yeah. We should just say, Jack, we're doing a mock draft special next week.
Yes, we will have our mock draft special.
Hopefully a couple of guests as well, right?
That's right. We'll have our mock draft special next Thursday. You can yes, feel free to bring in some guests that are some football experts so that they can know a little bit more than us, so that
unlikely
know about so we can know more about the football and the teams and the players that we should know more about. I'm really looking forward to that. Even though that's just about next Thursday, we'll get more of that less than a week away. The NFL draft kicking off next Thursday at 8. Lots to be looking forward to for the top 3 players taking place in Detroit and Motown for the where the draft's going to take place. Should be a lot of fun, exciting to watch. I can't wait to tune in and find out and to see where the players land for their potential spots. Should be very exciting to watch.
Jackson, speaking of experts and guests, I know we only have 10 minutes left, so please tell me you're going to tell us all about what I'm dying to hear about. You meeting arguably the greatest of all time coach. Please tell me that's our next topic.
Yes, I'm about to get to it right now. Last week when we did our special show up in Duke together with me and Blake, yes, we did meet up with our with Mr. Kevin last week at the Duke Hall of Fame, but it doesn't stop there, because that's not what we're going to talk about. We are going to talk about with meeting the none other than people were asking me the same thing about me, phone call or text, that we got to meet Coach K in the top level in his in his top of the level next level office, which looked really nice, full of Hall of Fame introduction trophies and pictures and trophy and awards he's won. He even gave me a couple of T-shirts from his official drawer of Coach K on it, and I thought it was really special. And yeah, being Coach K, the legend from what he did as a tenure at Duke, who previously coached at West Point, coached the U.S. Olympic basketball team, won 5 national titles at Duke as a coach, and I mean, what can I say? He's none other than by far one of the greatest coaches ever of all time. That meaning Coach Zachary and Coach K. Yeah, there's nothing quite like it. I mean, he is Duke basketball. He is Coach K Court. He is the brand of the college game, and there's nothing quite like it. I hope I get this opportunity again, whether it's at the pros or college, but this doesn't get any better than that. And this is really special from whoever got to meet in person. Nothing quite like it, Blake.
Yeah, it was pretty special. And if anybody hasn't watched our special episode we recorded on Monday from the Duke Basketball Museum, like Jackson just mentioned, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a bit of a shorter episode, around 30 to 40 minutes, but it was a Duke basketball special. We talked a lot about the history of Duke basketball, Cameron Indoor, etc. So would recommend everyone go give that a watch/listen.
How long did you guys talk to Kay? How long did that last?
Jackson?
Yes. That lasted about, I want to say 30. To at least I say 30/40 minutes. I say so. Not your typical usual time show, but it was like a half an hour show talking about the history of the museum and the stuff surrounding it, just talking about the different Duke games we went to. They went to back in the past, this upcoming season, and years prior to that, and one of the and one of their games, one of their favorite Duke games, they went to, that sort of thing. That's really what we really dive into and really talked about the most during our time there. And then we also had Kate Bowers, who also stopped by before our show, and I thought it was really
Kate
special
Bowler.
because Kate Bowers, yeah, my mom listens to her on one of her podcasts. You might want to check her out because she's on Spotify. And but yeah, I mean, she was a Duke grad, and really special. And got to really nice of us to meet her before we started our show last Thursday during our show. She came to see us back on Monday, and we had a great time, and great to be back. It was great to be back in the Duke Hall of Fame hours later, prior to our meeting with Coach Krzyzewski. And I tell you what, we had tell you what, Blake, you and I had a very interesting busy day on Monday, and it sounds like we did a lot, and we did. And you and I just we soaked it all in, and that's really what you and me did together. And we moved stuff around the chairs and tables and got our studio set ready, and in the Hall of Fame Museum. And I mean, we did our thing, man. And I'm glad you and I were to be able to participate and be part of this once in a lifetime, I would say, special opportunity for us for our sports show and our podcast. And I gotta say, it was really enjoyed that experience with you, Blake, of what you and I did there together.
It was a good time, man. It was a good time. It was good to do something different, do a little shorter episode just from a different location. And obviously Kevin's been on the show. Most of our audience should know him as well. So like I said, definitely worth checking out for sure. we got a few minutes left, Jack. So I just wanted to quickly, I think we'll do a full breakdown of the Stanley Cup playoffs next week, probably. Once the matchups are finalized, there's still
Once
a
the
couple.
Capitals beat the Rangers.
Exactly. There's still a couple of games left to decide those last seeds, but there was a bit of hockey news as well. We can quickly mention. It looks like the Arizona Coyotes are on the way to Salt Lake City. What do you make of that, Mike?
Arizona Coyotes are going to Salt Lake City. Huh.
And no, that's not a Grateful Dead lyric.
Wow. Well, good for Salt Lake. I mean,
What do you think the team name will be? Are they gonna? They probably have to change it, right? I mean, do they have Coyotes in Salt Lake City? Maybe in Utah.
well, they got Coyotes in most cities in the
The
West.
Utah Coyotes.
They even had Coyotes in Chicago.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, they can't really call them the Hives because they got a AAA team called the Hive, the Beehives.
They might just keep it and just do Utah Coyotes. I don't know. Does that ring off
Yeah.
does that sound right to you
Yeah.
guys? I don't know, Utah Coyotes, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, they probably like the Oilers. They'll probably wait a few years and then change the name.
Yeah, they might just want to change everything though. Now that they're in a new city, change the colors and the team name and stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, we'll see. It
Well,
does make sense though.
You know, the Utah Jazz. I mean, they came from New Orleans.
There's not a lot of jazz clubs in Salt Lake City, so they're obviously from the past.
So, yeah, I hadn't heard that, but well,
Yeah, some breaking news. So
yeah.
I know we covered the A's moving to Vegas via Sacramento. So this is another
Yeah.
this is another
Wow.
a move along the lines. Maybe we'll see a couple other moves as well. Maybe we'll see some more expansion and stuff in the NBA. So yeah, keep an eye out on these West Coast relocations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that does make sense though, because we went skiing in Utah. I don't know if Mike or Blake has ever been to Utah. And it does seem like a winter
yeah.
sports. It's a winter sports city, so I'm kind of surprised
they
they
had
haven't
the,
had a hockey team there earlier, to be honest.
Yeah, they had the Winter Olympics in 2002,
Right.
and
Yep.
you're within 40-minute drive to 6 major ski areas from downtown Salt Lake City.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I've skied Salt Lake a lot. It's a lot of fun.
there you go. So maybe they'll be the Salt Lake skiers.
This could be. Yeah.
Blake, do you have any thoughts on the Arizona hockey team relocated to Salt Lake City? Do you have any names you'd like to throw out?
Powder and Mormons. Let's just get the Salt Lake Powder. They'd have really a lot of fun with that. The fans would, and there's the Salt Lake Mormons.
Certainly on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for Salt Lake skiers, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna brainstorm on that and come back next week maybe with some, because I think the Seattle Kraken really stepped it up with the good team names and logos. I think they did a really good job with that.
Yeah.
I think Salt Lake's gotta try to match that energy, I think.
I think you
Salt
guys
Lake Pow
are
Salt Lake Pow
Wait.
The
Wait,
Salt
guys.
Lake Pow Pow.
I think you guys are forgetting one other whatever team that you forgot to that you guys keep forgetting. How about the Salt Lake Yeti?
Ooh.
Yeti.
I'm more of a
All right.
Stanley guy myself, but
Jackson, well, that's good. Jackson, the Cleveland Community College are the Yetis. Good call. They're the Yetis. They play the Rhinos, the Dallas Rhinos.
okay. Salt Lake Yeti. That's the one to beat right now. We'll see if we can improve
Yeah.
on that.
Okay. I like it.
All right, Jack. Get
All
us
right.
out of here.
Blake, we're officially we're officially past the 6 o'clock hour, which means the show is officially now over the limit. So so our time has come to an end here on Good Guy Sports. But it was great talking to you, Bill Lonberger, the two Blakes, Mike Roby. I'm Justin Gerke. Great to be with you guys. And please stay tuned next Thursday for our mock draft episode, including our special guest football experts that we have bringing on though. So stay tuned for that. We'll also talk the Stanley Cup playoffs and including more NBA basketball playoffs as well. So stick around for that. But great talking to you guys. Have a great weekend. We will see you guys and talk to you next week.
Guys,
Thanks,
same
Jackson.
stat of the day.
Thank you,
Don't
guys.
forget stat of the day. Dallas Rhinos baseball team 36-4 record right now. So check them out. The
All right.
JUCO baseball team. Not a bad record.
We'll keep an eye on that.
We
All
we
right.
sure will. All right, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Have a
Bye
great
now.
day. Enjoy your rest of your weekend.
You too.